Morning, everybody. Woo! Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday at least. If not, that's going to look ridiculous. Let me get a second here to get 5x5 and turn the slow chat on. So the moderators do not kill me graveyard dead here. It looks like we are 5x5. All right, folks. Good morning. How we doing this morning? C over Lazy R Homestead. Congrats on being the first one up in the house. Quick reminder, Thursday, Thanksgiving, there will be no live stream. I will be dropping a Battle Box video. It's going to be scheduled at the same time we normally live stream in case you're extremely bored, okay? And I don't know if you can see the mask back here. The full face gas mask. Going to be reviewing that. I've already done it, actually. I know people are whining and crying about the poll. We're going to get to that, I promise. There are ways to make that poll work for you, okay? And I'll explain. Let's see who we got in the house this morning before we get started. Big T's up in here. Up in here. My Alabama Life, good morning. Golden Wolf, good morning. Big Red and the moderators, thank you very much. WM, good morning. Jonathan Hicks, you were killing me a while ago. I was still half asleep, and Jonathan Hicks is on here talking about the poll. He's like, nah. Silly Eagle, good morning. 300 Warriors, how you doing, brother? Salt and Preppa. See, I got it right now. Michelle Dempsey, good morning. James Jenkins, good morning. Indiana Prepper, how you doing, brother? So, America is in serious, serious trouble. We're going to talk about that this morning. There's tons of intel linked down below on this. But we're going to start with schools, okay? Because schools are in bad, bad shape. You hear bits and pieces in the mainstream media about schools being in trouble, but normally it's just landing in local media. And again, I've linked one from South Carolina. I think it was South Carolina where I linked the local media, but it's happening all over the place. Good morning, Baltimore, Bama. I remember seeing Baltimore, Bama back all the way back when we were still using the skull logo. Some of y'all are OGs up in here. Luce, good morning. So, schools are running out of food, number one. They're having to substitute all kinds of weird things in. And in some extreme cases, they're having to scale back now and only offer snacks during school, or in some extreme cases, no lunch at all. They're actually sending memos out in some school districts saying, we don't have food anymore. You'll have to send food with your child. This is a huge problem. Because, and I was one of these kids, a lot of kids depend on school lunches for nutrition. Growing up, we didn't have a lot of food at home, and I was the guy where all my friends are like, this is nasty, I'm not eating it. I said, son, I'll eat it. Hand it over. But yeah, they're running out of food. They're ordering. It's not just food, it's condiments like ketchup and stuff like that. It is plasticware and all this stuff. They're ordering it. And it's not showing up whatsoever. No rhyme, no reason, no excuse. It's just not showing up. Muzzle Flash, good morning and thank you. Hello, John. The Australian Army has been deployed into the Northern Territory to the Aboriginal people and put them in a 3,000-bed camp. We posted a little something about that yesterday over on Patreon. Some folks are starting to get put into camps, and there are protests against this going on globally, which I've got scheduled to talk about. Thank you for that. We'll get into it here shortly, okay? So, schools, not only are they running out of things to feed kids, but schools are also woefully understaffed, as in teachers are just being burnt out. They're quitting in droves. Nobody's applying to be, a teacher. Many school districts have lowered the standards for substitute teaching. They still can't get anybody to walk through the door and put in an application, okay? It's not just schools. Prisons are also feeling the effect of this. Some prisons now have been caught serving expired food to inmates. There are a few lawsuits out there right now. Inmates are saying this is ridiculous. They're not getting items for hygiene anymore because the prisons just can't get them. They have the funding. Our government has thrown the funding out there, They're just not able to get it. Not a lot of people are talking about the prisons. I know schools are more important, folks, but I don't know what your thoughts are this morning in chat. But when it comes to prisons, if you're going to throw somebody in prison, you have to take care of them. You have to at least feed them the basics. You have to give them stuff to stay clean, okay? Because you have incarcerated that person. There's no 100% guarantee that that they're even guilty. There are innocent people in jail, and to do that is ridiculous. Fat Man Prepper, Kamala Harris is always welcome over for Thanksgiving. After all, a turkey is a turkey. Thank you for that. There are some comments. We'll get into the poll in a little bit. There were some comments that were cracking me up. Yeah, you still have, Lana says you still have rights in jail. You have your basic human rights. So you've lost many of your rights as a citizen, but you're still a human being. And to not be feeding people and incarcerating them, like they've cut some of the, you hear the expression 3 hots in a cot. So now in some cases that's dropped down to 2 hots in a cot, or even 1 hot in a cot. And the 1 hot that you're getting is expired food, and it's just not great. Not a great situation. The staffing is a huge issue as well, which we're going to talk about. The violence has went up. I think since the pandemic, they're saying the violent acts in prison have went up almost 300% because of staffing issues. Nobody wants to work it anymore. This next one makes me sick to my stomach. It is a national embarrassment. 160,000 active duty military right now admit that they are struggling to feed their families. Food banks are trying to jump in. They're trying to help, these. It's on the lower spectrum people that have not been in the military, a couple of years maybe. This is not high ranking at all, but they're still U.S. soldiers. 160,000. This is something, again, this intel is down below, and they're just not talking about it. How in the world, somebody said in the article that's down below, how in the world can we be deployed somewhere in the world and have that constant worry of, is our family able to eat? Are they eating? Are they doing without, the basic stuff like food? So this is starting to happen now, again, not just with schools, but it's starting to happen all throughout institutions. Again, jails, school cafeterias are getting hammered. And now the military is starting to show signs of fracturing and things like this. Now, to Biden's, I hate to give him any sort of credit, but to Biden's credit, he has thrown money at the problems. And this is what drives me nuts about Democrats in general. If you're a Democrat, I'm sorry, I'm going to vent on it anyway, but especially the Biden administration and his advisors. They throw money at everything, and they think this automatically solves the issue. Like they just passed the infrastructure bill. There's a lot of stuff that's not infrastructure in the bill. Y'all know what I'm talking about on that, but they've passed this insane amount of funding, and they're like, we're going to fix the roads, we're going to fix the bridges, we're fixing the transit systems. And I'm sitting here thinking, who's going to fix it? Throwing money at a road that needs to be fixed doesn't fix the road. You actually have to have people out there doing the work. And in 2021, people aren't willing to do the work anymore. Many McDonald's now, they're paying $20 an hour, and they still can't get people to come through the door. Remember, the argument used to be $15 an hour and we'll be happy. They're not happy with $20 now. They don't want to work anymore. They don't have to work. The incentive to work is gone. Now, this again is affecting the security in prisons. So for example, you talk about defund the police and cities not being safe. There have been a lot of escapes here recently, because they'll have 6 or 8 violent, criminals, and they'll have 1 deputy because that's all they can spare to transport these individuals. It's not a safe situation. Then you get into schools again. A lot of people, I was one of the kids, they're now suffering because they don't have any food to eat, and they don't have any food at home. And our military, again, that's just that's beyond ridiculous. To go and fight for your country and not know that your family's being taken care of, to me, is pathetic on pretty much every level. It's an embarrassment. So the biggest shortages, and I pulled this up last night, are staffing, bread. Bread, folks, is a huge concern right now for schools, for prisons, and also for military families. Chicken, all of the meats, but specifically chicken. They mentioned juice, plastic cutlery, and milk. I've seen a few news reports where local school systems have they've started to give kids tap water in cups at lunchtime because they don't have juice anymore. They order it, they have the money to buy it, it just doesn't come. Oh, and same with milk, okay? There's no incentive to work. We cannot coddle Americans forever. If we're going to survive as a country, we just can't keep doing it. We can't keep sending out stimulus. We can't keep giving breaks to people. We were talking yesterday about the evictions and things, especially in New York. And it's horrible. I don't want to see anybody homeless. But you can't continue to pay for things forever as the U.S. government. At some point, people got to lace some boots up. They got to step up. They got to go out and they got to work a job and they got to make their own way. You can't coddle these people forever. Because when you go down this road, and I think what's going on, folks, we've coddled people for so long because of the pandemic that that's their frame of mind now. You know, it used to be if you wanted to improve your situation, you worked a second job. I've had to do it a couple of times. Back in my younger days, I'm a little too old now. But back in my younger days, I would work, day shift and then evening shift and sleep like a rock at night. But it allowed me to save up money and better myself. People don't think that way anymore. The younger generation, I mean, let's be honest, and I'm not busting on millennials here. What's the other one now, Gen Z? I'm not busting on them across the board, but I'm saying, how many Gen Zers, for example, do you see going out and being willing to rebuild bridges? Okay, this ain't 1970, 1960. Back then, people were willing to do that kind of work, and they were doing it for a lot less money. People nowadays just don't want to do it at all, okay? And just to throw this in there before we move on, we were talking about jails and staffing being a huge issue. Mandates have led to the staffing issues at jails. You'll hear, well, only 50 police officers quit in LA or whatever the case may be. 30% of the correctional workforce has left over vaccines, over the mandates. 30% of their entire workforce is gone. This is happening also. They're probably going to buffer me at this point, but it's also happening again with schools and stuff. My wife sees it firsthand, and you go in and they work you nonstop. You don't get a planning period. You don't get a lunch break anymore. And people are just getting burnt out and they're saying enough's enough. I'm out of here. And it just adds to the problem. So throwing money, in my opinion, is not going to change things. Boomers go to work. Yes, they do. Riddy Taylor Clay. Boomers know a little something about work. I would argue Gen X, they know a little something about work. But the problem is boomers and some Gen X now, they're not even in good enough condition. We got bad backs. I got a bad back. The fresh backs here in the United States, the younger folks, they're not willing to go out and do that kind of work. You know what I mean? And so it's just not, we're not heading for good times here in the United States. Sticking with schools, this intel is down below as well. Remote learning leads to catastrophic learning loss. They now know this for a fact. They have put test scores in schools against test scores pre-pandemic, and we weren't doing great to start with, if you want to know the truth. Nationally, test scores are way down. They're almost 15% down as compared to pre-pandemic. Kids just aren't learning. The remote option, I think they use Zoom for a lot of this stuff. Kids just aren't learning. But now they are saying that, let me see here, that it is leading to social harm in children. It is leading to widespread anxiety and depression among school-aged kids. And I bring this up because many schools right now are considering a round 2 of all virtual. A lot of that, again, has to do this time around with staffing. Bus drivers here, just to give y'all an example, The bus drivers here, they're so low on bus drivers that bus routes typically take 3 hours longer. So you have kids getting home from school at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening. Not doing anything after school. They're just waiting around that long because bus drivers are having to run multiple routes. And they're getting burnt out, and they're just like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I don't care about the overtime or what have you. But now it's affecting our kids, emotionally, they're saying. The LA Teachers Union boss, she goes on to say they didn't learn times tables throughout the pandemic, but they learned resilience. And I wonder how so. How have they learned how to be resilient? For the last 2 years or so, kids have been living in fear. They've been told you need to wear your face diaper. You need to go to the clinic. We're setting up clinics in schools. We need to test you 25 times a week or whatever. How exactly have they learned how to be resilient? We switched over to all digital the second half of last year, and it was a joke. I mean, an absolute joke. There was no learning going on whatsoever. So I'm not sure how they have learned to be resilient. They're making these kids out to be heroes, and honestly, these kids have been put through the ringer. So they're heroes in that respect, but they haven't learned anything, in my opinion. Biden, again, threw $130 billion at this problem. He throws money at schools and says, okay, hire staff. There we go, it's fixed. No staff's applying, Joe. This is an issue. Nobody's applying to drive buses for however many hours a day. They're just not interested. No teachers are applying. No substitutes are applying. It remains an issue. I don't care how much money you throw at it. Who do we blame? That's a question I want to ask the chat this morning. Who do we blame for the situation in schools? Do we blame the current administration? Do we blame it all on the pandemic? Do we blame it on overreaction maybe by local school systems? Do we blame the mandates? That's the question, Fauci. Somebody, Reckless Reese said Fauci. I need a tip jar. Country girl, thank you. I don't need a tip jar, but I appreciate it anyway. This goes back years. That's fair, Stephen. Again, we weren't exactly soaring worldwide in terms of test scores and stuff. We were way behind. Fauci and Bill Gates, somebody said. We blame every person giving in. Prepping princess. Bill Gates, Indiana prepper, teachers unions, very good. Adam in Alaska, I do blame them to a degree. At the end of the day, though, folks, our kids are the ones that lose. Our kids are never going to get these 2 years of education back. And when they do graduate, they're going to be way behind the curve. And we're not even through the pandemic yet. We have no idea how much longer they're going to drag this can down the road, do we? Welcome to socialism. Bill B., that is correct. A lot of people wanted it. I used to see people on social media. Some of them still do it, but you just can't fix stupid. As we say here in my area, some people wanted it, they championed it, and now they're complaining about it. And I'm like, you're getting exactly what you asked for. Socialism. Plandemic, Just Vicky says. So the poll this morning, I was just trying to have a little fun. I tell you how you know a poll sucks is when the winner only has 26%. Okay. So the poll this morning, the person you'd most likely invite to Thanksgiving dinner, if you had to, 26% say Don Lemon. I'm not inviting Don Lemon. 26% of you said Nancy Pelosi. That would be interesting. She would probably arrive. She would already be intoxicated. We know how that goes. 24% of you say the hosts of The View. And we're going to talk about old Whoopi in a minute. The host of The View, that I cannot imagine those ladies sitting at the table for Thanksgiving dinner. And 24% of you chose the person I would have chosen, Kamala Harris, a.k.a. Giggles, and here's why. I can't dance, son. I've been told this. My significant other, God lover, Miss Nation, said, you really do dance like a white boy. So Kamala Harris can dance. If I knew she was coming to dinner, I would go out and get me what they call them Chuck Taylors. Get those Chuck Taylor tennis shoes on, and I would get Kamala to show me how to dance, if nothing else. All she does is laugh and dance. So at least I can learn to dance. But a couple of the comments, one person, Black Kitty or something like that, they may still be in chat. They said, I'm going to invite Kamala because then she would have to come to the border. They live down near the border. So there are ways to make this poll work. Country Girl, thank you very much for that. No need for it, though, I promise. So, the poll is evil. I'll try and do a better poll tomorrow. Okay. Okay, who said Nancy Pelosi? Paul Jones said. There's some sick individuals in here. I think that somebody had mentioned Nancy would bring so much alcohol with her that they could make it through through the dinner. So the scenario this morning, and let me see here. Thanks to T. Saunders for emailing this. If you folks have a poll idea, a good one, not one that I threw down this morning. If you have a scenario or prepping items, please email them to me, okay? Patriots Pride emailed one, but it was an accurate scenario, but it was one that would frighten people to death here at the nation. So I will have to reword it or something. But T. Saunders this morning says, you're an elementary school teacher and there's been an EMP strike. You have 2 weeks worth of food at the school. I'm assuming that you're single, you don't have a family. You have 2 weeks worth of food at the school, which is a stretch. We just went over this. What's the next course of action for you as a prepper? And if you're in a city, how do you go about it from there? And they also said if you're in rural America, how do you go about it from there? Do you stay where the food is at? Do you stay where the building has more security, although it's a larger building, or do you bug out and try and get home? Maybe at that point, what do you do? Get my kid, Luco Cowboy from Maine, absolutely. Stay where the food is, Bama Jen. Yeah, bad boy, we're going to get into the whiskey shot being mandated and stuff over there in just a few minutes. Take the school's plastic knives, Jordan. They don't have any. That's one of the big things. Much love from East Tennessee. I appreciate that, caveman. Civil War, I feel, is next, Mike Malone. It is possible. Civil War or something that looks similar to Civil War, some kind of uprising / revolution. Absolutely. Get my kids home, Outlaw Farms. Torch 114, if you prep, I get home before streets get too bad. Yeah, if you're not a prepper, don't leave the school at that point because you're going to die. But as a prepper, if I have more than 2 weeks, which I should, at home, I'm trying to, me personally, I'm trying to put together maybe a get home bag from the things I can find at the school, and I'm trying to get home at that point. All right, so the 3 preps this morning. Prophecy 92 actually suggested the first one. That's bolt cutters. You should have bolt cutters for SHTF. That was a really good suggestion. Number 2, I encourage you to have 2 of these at bare minimum, and that is socket sets, okay? Socket sets are going to come in handy during SHTF full blown, and to my experience, always better to have 2 of anything than just 1. And finally, I'm going to use this for filtering water, just getting the stuff out of the water. What would you use this prep for? Pantyhose. And it's okay, guys. You can use pantyhose as well as a prep. Don't be ashamed. Uncle Robert, good morning. I see you there in the chat. Awesome video. Just 2, Marcy, at the very least, 2 socket sets. Now I have 2 upstairs, and then down in the basement I got some older ones that I can make them work. I mean, they're not the best. They're not Craftsman or anything, but I can make them work. Strainer, there you go, Southern Lady. Catfishing, Matt says. Face mask. Really? Come on, man. What are you going to stop with pantyhose? Although you could probably use it to go to Walmart. They wouldn't know the difference. Serpentine belt. That's awesome, Robert. I'm one of these, I don't know if it's cheapness or preparedness, okay? Disclaimer. I'm one of these people when I get the serpentine belt changed. Yes, I can change them on my own, but it's a pain in the rear. It takes an hour-ish, and it takes a whole lot of digging underneath the hood, the way mine wraps around. But when I get them changed, I always keep the back up, even if it's worn, not completely out, but it's worn down. I always keep it in the hatch. Tourniquet. That is awesome, Wendy. John Mack, that's a really good suggestion. We have bought extra belts and filters for each of our cars. I have some extra car parts laying around. We just got a new belt put on not long ago. We have a couple of the older belts. Like I said, they've been worn some. I don't think we have any filters, though. If we're talking about, are you talking about like the oil filters? I don't think we have any extra of those on hand here. To store onions and garlic. Big T. I didn't actually think about that. That's awesome. So Whoopi Goldberg's pissed. Let's talk about this one. Oh, Whoopi. I thought she was supposed to be in Canada. Y'all have angered the Whoopi. She is pissed over the verdict in Kyle's case. She is saying that it is murder, and she is basically calling anybody a racist that thinks otherwise. She made this comment yesterday on The View. No, folks, I don't watch The View. I picked it up in mainstream media. And Homestead Jen was saying earlier that she would just like to fight Whoopi Goldberg. Fist fighter, son. And we could sell tickets to that. I believe we could. You know, it would be one of those deals. We would have to set up a venue for this. Whoopi Goldberg versus Homestead Jen. And I don't know, maybe we just take canned food. 12 cans of food to get in. You don't even need money to get in. But I would love to see that. Wasn't this lady supposed to be in Canada? Didn't she threaten to move back when Trump was running for president of the United States? Was she one of the ones? There were like a half a dozen that threatened to move, and none of them ever did that I'm aware of. John Mack says, Whoopi, I hope you're not taking Whoopi in that matchup. I'm taking Homestead Jen. 1,000%. Jen Boyles, it has nothing to do with racism. But the entire narrative on the left revolves around division and racism. So everything to them is racist. Roads are racist. Air is racist. Water's racist. That's all these people thrive on. And so, of course, with Kyle's case, it comes down to racism somehow. Silly Eagle, she suffers from believing anybody cares about her opinion. Yes, with Rosie O'Donnell, I would pay for these two to move. You know, I ain't going to buy their houses or anything, but look, load your vehicles up, or I'll pay for the U-Hauls. How about that? If you can find a U-Haul that Antifa's not currently using for pallets of bricks, I'll rent them out of my own pocket to move these two out of the country. So I just wanted to mention that. So getting into Australia now. Australia has mandated, as in door to door, or you're going to a camp, you're going to take the whiskey shot. This is not going to be the only country to do it. They're saying not to Canada. Sue says not Canada. Don't send them here. But there's something else taking place right now that you're not being told about in mainstream media. There are violent protests happening all over the planet right now, okay? Australia, of course, as well. Croatia, Italy, Northern Ireland, the UK, France, Germany, and the Netherlands are the main ones. People are protesting by the tens of thousands and sometimes by the hundreds of thousands, and these are not peaceful protests. They're done with the mandates. These people that are protesting right now They understand what's coming. They understand they're going to be taken off to camps. They're not okay with that. Maybe these folks know a little bit about history. You'd think Germany would know a little bit about history. Okay, but they're talking about, no, we need to segregate these people. We need to lock them down. Buffoons. All right, you would think of all of the countries Germany would know, but they don't know. But a lot of these people are standing up, and God bless them for it. We need to see more of it. We're not seeing enough of it here in the United States. People don't seem to care until they are directly affected by something. And then all of a sudden they're pissed about it. And people here in America, they don't understand, look, if we take care of business now, we go out and we start protesting now, it doesn't get to the point where we are directly affected. So yeah, I mean, the police are out. They are spraying these people with water cannons. They're flashbanging them. They're using non-tactical bullets or non-lethal bullets and things. And these people are fighting back. They really are. Now, their problem, of course, is many of the countries I just named, they don't allow these. They don't allow boomsticks, okay? We cannot allow our Second Amendment to fall. Otherwise, we're going to be in the same boat. Promise you. We must feed the tree of liberty. Plays a lot too. I hate that it would come down to that, but historically it always does. Historically, it always comes down to people trying to control every aspect of your life and another group of people getting pissed off and saying, no, I want to be free. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Right now, we have half of a country, maybe a little over a half, sadly, that are waiting around to see what Dr. Fauci is going to allow them to do through the Christmas holidays. Is he going to allow us to get together? Is he going to allow us to go back to school? Is he going to force us to do this? And then there's the other half of the country that says, he's not going to force me to do anything. He's not allowing me to do anything. This man's not God. You know, he's a borderline doctor, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. Procrastinators. We wait until the end. Here in America, and people in America just have it so much better, I think, than other countries. And again, you know, it's what they call it, first world problems or whatever. Right now, people are just putting their nose up in the air and they're like, I can't believe that there's only, you know, one brand of juice boxes to choose from and stuff like this. They don't realize how much worse it is going to get. They don't realize the freedoms that are being stripped away, and they won't listen. These people are nonsensical. Pure blood Wolverine, salty gummer. There you go. The pure bloods seem to be fading fast. A lot of people, I just saw it in chat a couple of times, but a lot of people are being threatened now with employment. That's nothing new, but it's coming down to the, you know, January. January is the big deadline for a lot of people. And people are wondering here in America what they're going to do for income. Because the people that are worried about their income are actually working. They're not freeloading on the system. The only way that they know is to work and improve their livelihood and to be providers. And so some people are going to cave. And I'm not here to judge people one way or the other. But I'm just saying, if you cave into that, it's not going to stop there. They're going to continue to hammer you. And they're going to continue to want total compliance until you're just not free. Okay? So just pray on that and consider that, okay? 5 things that I would personally focus on right now. Food, water, warmth, tools, specifically hand tools. We were just talking about some hand tools earlier, and fuel. Those are the 5 things I'm focused on right now with winter coming up and shortages and things of this nature, okay? And be sure to rotate your food. Somebody asked last week, is there a good way to rotate your food? If there's a better way than first in, first out, I don't know about it. The cans and stuff, we do keep the cardboard underneath. We buy them 12 at a time. It makes them easier to rotate around, okay? But at the end of the day, you're going to have to physically rotate your food unless you're sitting on tons of emergency food. Weapons, of course, hot rod prepper, but most people should have their weapons already. Some people can't afford boomsticks and stuff, or they just don't like them. But for the most part, as preppers, we should already have our weapons, okay? Because people on the left now are stockpiling ammo and weapons and things. They may not know how to use them per se, but they're actually out buying them as well. So we do need to have weapons, of course. But again, food, water, warmth, ways to stay warm, additional heating, wool, warm clothes, extra blankets, tools, any kind of hand tools. We were just talking bolt cutters. We were talking about socket sets and things. Hand tools specifically in case the grid were to fail. And again, fuel. All right. You would think, True Seeker says, by this point, you would think, if you're one of the individuals that's a prepper and you're thinking, is it time to go get a gun? I mean, like, what else are you waiting on? Are you waiting on a total societal collapse? What else do you need to see before you go out and fill out the paperwork and get some sort of self-protection, okay? Wool socks. Thank you, Kelsey. That is awesome. And finally, before we dive into the chat, attention. This is linked below. This is crazy, and I cannot believe I found this last night. So we know we have Thanksgiving coming up, dinners and things like this for many of you, and we have Christmas coming up. Again, dinners and things, people get together. Your liberal family and friends are preparing for these dinners. You know this? They've been talking to life coaches online. These life coaches are coaching them on how to deal with nasty conservatives during Thanksgiving dinner and during Christmas dinner. How do you get along during the holidays with the filthy conservatives? This is their mindset now. They are coming up with clever ways to liberalize conservatives. They're looking at this, again, this is down below. They're looking at this as an opportunity to talk some sense into conservative America. All right, so they know, let's say they know they got an Uncle Harry, son, and they know Uncle Harry's going to be at the dinner, and Uncle Harry is pro-Second Amendment, and he's pro-Constitution. They're looking at this now. It used to be they didn't want to be at dinner with you at all. He's just going to ramble about the military being important, yada, yada. Now they're looking at this as an opportunity to sit down and change your mind. Y'all know that sign, change my mind or whatever. What is his name? Steven something, I think. They're looking at this as an opportunity to influence you during the holiday season and to change your mind and maybe convince you that you should be pro-Nancy Pelosi or pro-socialism or even communism at this point. One of the things that they pointed out, which I thought was really rude and sad, liberalism, is they said that your older family members are already lost. Don't worry about those folks. They're not going to change their minds. They're coming after the younger people in, at the dinner table and stuff. They're going to approach the younger family members and say, hey, not everybody thinks the way they do. And you have a friend in me, son. You can confide in me. It's totally okay to be different. Don't feel oppressed by these people just because they are conservatives. Liberalism, son, it's a disease. I would argue, I don't know how you reach out to a life coach on the internet because you're so worried about Thanksgiving dinner. It used to be about watching football and eating turkey. At least it did here. Oh, man, let's see. Parabellum. My mother-in-law trying to convert my kids. They're out there, folks. They really are. To each their own. If somebody wants to be a liberal, hey, that's fine. I'm not going to a family dinner to convince anybody to be conservative. The way I look at it is you don't have to convince a liberal that our way is better. You just have to let liberalism run its course. Eventually, they're going to figure it out. Eventually, they may be busting rocks under the threat of a long rifle at some point in communism, or eventually they may actually want to move out of the basement and have things for themselves. And eventually they may figure out, hey, Joe Biden's not taking care of me anymore. Eventually it'll run its course and they'll start to mature a little bit. I know I'm going to catch some heat, but I think many liberals are immature in their way of thinking. Liberals think about themselves first. Conservatives typically, I would argue, think about family first. They think about their kids. They think about the future. They think about the shape of our government and things like this. So it will run its course and they will become conservatives at some point in time. Now, whether they're doing it in handcuffs in total communism, I don't know. But they are trying to convince us that liberalism is the way. And I'm telling you, expect this if you're going to a dinner this year and if you have liberal family members. Nana says they are selfish and immature. They absolutely are. Sarah, I would like to hear this. Sarah says you can tell a liberal by their yard. I would love to hear the reasoning there. I can normally spot the cars. The cars have 25 bumper stickers about coexist and equality, and they've got all this nonsense on there. It's usually a small car because they don't want to hurt the environment. My kids can actually spot them now if we pull up somewhere. My daughter is great at this. She'll say, Dad, that's a liberal. I can already tell you. It's a VW punch bug. They have 25 stickers on the back. And sometimes you can tell a conservative's vehicle too, you know. In this area, it's usually a pickup truck. Don't tread on me on the license plate and a set of those silver nuts hanging down below. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Let me see. Yeah, because it's clean. Okay, Sarah, you know what? That's fair. That's fair. I do think Jeeps, there you go. Jeep life, Kelly. Sarah, that's fair enough. I do think that liberals have cleaner yards, by and large. A lot of the conservatives that I know have junky yards, what some people would consider to be junky. They may have chicken coops in the yard. They may have an engine that's sitting there that they're working on, trying to repair, stuff like this. Stuff that you're not going to see maybe in a liberal neighborhood. So that's a fair statement there. I have Little Miss, let me see here. Little Miss Patriot, I have an upside down flag on my California truck. Somebody said, no, no, no. What are you talking about? No, 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 Sarah. Maybe I misunderstood what you were saying. Toe nuts. Sandra, those things have a real name. Toe nuts. Sometimes liberals, they'll have like a Prius and then they'll have the fuzzy dice hanging from the dash or from the rear view. I'm like, in a Prius, really, son? Or the Yoda sticker on the back. Yep, chicken coop here. There's nothing wrong with that. You're not guilty of anything. Joni, you're guilty of handling your business. Nothing wrong with that. Bull balls, somebody said. Sarah, their yards are totally unruly. Mames, I have a window decal that says, am I the only one? That's awesome. I don't know anybody personally that has one of these, but I've seen these driving around. People will be at a red light and they've got these decals. Y'all seen them now where you can put them on the window and it looks like somebody's in the vehicle and it'd be like Trump and he's looking out the window. I'm like, yeah, that person's a conservative. Easy on Subarus, to Kraken getting offended here. Chicken coop and rabbit pens, Renee. Well, what's up, Hutch? How clean is your yard, Hutch? Because I'm going to gamble here and I'm going to say you don't drive a Prius and you probably got, some homestead and stuff out in your yard. Ours is a mixture of like rain catchment and we got a few rolls of chicken wire, but then the kids have like the trampoline and the basketball goal. It just looks like a yard sale out back, honestly. Chickens in the driveway, Milton Roots, that's awesome. Astra says it's the people driving around by themselves with the masks on. Yeah, that's another good way to spot them. Fauci done got him shook. Cody, do you have a Thanksgiving tradition? So mine My Thanksgiving tradition is Miss Nation. She makes the traditions. I wake up. I know I'm going to eat 2 or 3 times that day. We're going to a friend's house. We're going to family's house and stuff like that. We have a couple of liberals in the extended family, but they're cool. Like, they don't push it on you or anything. We just disagree on some core stuff. But we all get along and stuff like that. Pontoon boat with the "Don't Tread on Me" on it. I love it. Plays a lot. Trespassing sign, Parabellum. That's very good. Burn barrel. Chris, I know a lot of people with the burn barrel. A lot of them. Hutch says his yard is actually cleanish. The grass hides everything. Oh, man. Bob, liberals have man buns. We talked about man buns last week, and I still don't know what to think about man buns. I really don't. I don't understand the concept of a man bun. Pirate flag, the Kraken. WS, you hitting home. A pile of skids for future projects. Yep, the pallets, I guess is what you're talking about. Nick, how you doing? Aloha. Purple hair. Sin City. Every time I mention hair color, somebody will email and say, look here, son, just because my hair is colored doesn't mean I'm a liberal. But to my experience, most of the time when a Volkswagen pulls up and they've got the, never Trumper stickers and all this stuff and the coexist on them, there's a 50-50 chance that person's getting out with colored hair, is all I'm saying. They're getting out with colored hair, they're wearing pajamas, or if it's a guy, they're wearing Crocs and socks, and they're getting out, and they just, no matter what it is when they get out, they're walking like a female, would be the only way to put it. The best way to put it. Gotta run. Sassy gal, I gotta run here in a minute too. I have crap everywhere, Sonia. Now my basement and a couple of our outbuildings just look horrible. I mean, I don't even know where this stuff came from. Horrible. My wife, we put the tree up this past weekend. She wanted to put the tree up. Yeah, she's a Christmas lunatic like that. But she's like, go downstairs and see if you can get the tree out. And I ain't kidding you. It's like an hour long. I'm trying to dig a tunnel through all of because we have the window air conditioners and stuff, and they're sitting down there, and I've got spare tires sitting down there, and I'm just digging a tunnel out to get this Christmas tree out. I prefer the live trees, but she doesn't. Skinny jeans equal liberal. Dove J, I've never worn skinny jeans. So I'm, I don't know how much my opinion means, but it just doesn't feel like it would be comfortable. It doesn't look like it would. There's got to be a little movement room. You know what I mean? I've seen it out in public. I've seen guys wearing jeans that look like they're spray painted on, but I know it's not spray paint because there's a shortage right now and you can't find spray paint. Dawn, I remember Jinkos. I've never owned a pair of those either. They look kind of like a dress. They're so, yep, need room. I don't, that's the thing. American Oma says, aren't the jewels squished in the skinny jeans? I don't know. It seems like they would be. You know what I mean? Muck, for your next poll, muck boots or Crocs, Clinton? It would be muck boots. Nobody here's voting Crocs. I can see wearing Crocs in your house, as a man anyway, in your house if they're camouflage. But don't wear socks with them. And maybe don't wear them out in public. And even I know this, and I don't know anything about fashion. John likes ballroom dancing, no names. But Kamala could teach me how to dance. So I would be okay with that. Muck boots. Everybody's throwing muck boots. That's everybody would pick muck on that. Crocs no. Y'all messing with me. Northwest Prepper Girl, Crocs makes boots. LOL. Learn something new every day. Who would buy a pair of Crocs boots? Skinny jeans or spandex. Uh, what are muck boots? Homestead Jen. I should go get a pair real quick. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go get you a pair real quick. Y'all hold tight. Yep. That's dedication, folks, right there. That should warrant a thumbs up. Do y'all remember the time that I just left the live stream to go get a pair of boots? These are Lincoln Outfitter brand, but this is basically a muck boot. It's just Rural King's version. There you go. Now you know what a muck boot looks like. Finger Lake, too funny. Yeah, I'm willing to do whatever here on the live stream. Well, good morning, Weekend RVing. How are y'all doing? That'll work. Yeah, they're $40 cheaper than muck boots when I went to get them. So, and I've had them for a couple of years and they work fine. This name though, Tilt and Rear. Thank you very much, but the name. Definitely conservative. Lawnmower on blocks in front yard. Lawn ornament. Mine's not on blocks, but I have left it multiple times just right there beside my house where you can see it. But no, mine's not on blocks. Nothing wrong with it, I guess, if you're working on it. Liberal muck boots. Do they make liberal muck boots, Bill? What would they be, like Skechers? There's some Skechers fans in here that are mad over that comment, I can promise you. What would be the liberal muck boot? Liberal version of the muck boot? Beyond Crocs. We know Crocs are terrible. Like the Timberland boots maybe that don't have scuffs on them. Sometimes I see people wearing Timberlands and I'm like, how do you keep brown Timberlands that clean, son? High heels. Doc Martens. Oh boy. My wife has a pair of Doc Martens and she also buys Uggs. Ooh, I forgot about those. Her and my daughter both have, they're called Hey Dudes. They're tennis shoes or something like that. Kind of casual. But my daughter laughs because she has another pair. Apparently the kids, if you get the off-brand of the Hey Dudes, they're called Sup Guys. Ariat boots, really? Liberal? No. Come on, man. Chuck Taylor's, caveman. I'm a hippie, but not liberal. Jen, that's fine. You know, just because you're a hippie does not make you a liberal. It just means you're about that peace and tranquility. I would argue that my buddy Caveman James is a hippie. He just doesn't know it. Back off my steel-toe Docs. Liberals are barefoot. Ooh, no. Well, maybe like Ocean Pacific sandals or something. They usually got something on. Means he is a pothead, Charlie B. K-Man James, yeah, he can't run from that. He can't run from that label. Gen X here, let's see. Oh my gosh. I'll lose the chat in like 2 seconds flat. Amelia says, Gen X here, I still have my Doc Martens. I'm pretty sure my wife has one pair of Doc Martens. It must be a woman thing, man. She's got tons of shoes. I have two pair of tennis shoes, okay? One of them's Nike. Please don't clown me over that. I mow in those. They're strictly for mowing. They're sitting beside the mower. I got pissed at Nike, but I'd already bought the shoes, so I said I'll just mow in them until they're gone. So I have two pair of those. I have a pair of dress shoes for dressing up, and I got two pair of cowboy boots. Yeah, pointed toe cowboy boots, y'all. And then I have my muck boots and a pair of sandals, Under Armour sandals, and that's it. Good morning from Nebraska. Kill it and grill it. I love that name. Leah, my hubby wears red, white, and blue Crocs. Very patriotic. I've seen worse on the Crocs. Beto O'Rourke. Bill's bringing up Beto O'Rourke. Jeez. And I just saw, look, Beto and Abbott are polling behind Matthew McConaughey. Since you bring it up, let's get some thoughts on that. Do you think Matthew McConaughey could win Texas? Because I saw that and I'm like, I don't even know if he's announced that he's running yet. And they did a poll and Matthew McConaughey is more popular in Texas, apparently. I don't even know, is he conservative or a liberal or what? Fake poll. Neither. Kayla, have you seen the KFC Crocs with a drumstick on top? No, and hopefully I never do, because I wouldn't be able to take my eyes off that. He's conservative, Kelly. Thank you. He wants your guns. Well, he ain't getting mine, the prepping brewer. He is mentioned, he's toyed around with the idea of becoming governor. He's an actor, just saying. The name is just saying. He's an actor, but so is Reagan, you know. So it is possible. True American Loretta, good morning, ma'am. John Marskin Farm. My husband's Crocs are zebra. That's all we could find in his size. Get rid of those. Get rid of them. Deny the existence of zebra Crocs. Sperry's. My wife, I know for a fact, has Sperry's because she drug me into the store looking for them one day. Yeah. But, I mean, she wears the Sperry's and she wears the, what are they called? I was just talking about them. Not the Doc Martens, but the other ones. Hey Dudes, to work. She says they're comfortable. Plays a lot. Hippie with a pew-pew. Is that ironic? No. Everybody should be able to own a boomstick, a pew-pew. Everybody. Leftist, right, doesn't matter to me. Everybody should have that right. Forrest, Arnold was an actor too, and look what he did to California. Does anybody have thoughts on that? Thank you, Forrest. I'll be back. What's good, homie Billy H? Well, the coffee's pretty good, homie. But other than that, don't know. No, sir, we also have 7 daughters, so zebra Crocs are a fun joke. Okay. Big T says California was already screwed up, Forrest. Arnold didn't do it. They were already messed up. Robin just watched Last Action Hero. Really? I remember when I was an Arnold fan. I do too. I mean, Predator, obviously, and there were a couple of others. Commando was really good. But yeah, he did. Rob Johnson says, Arnold says, screw your rights. He did say it. I saw him say it on video and lost a lot of credibility, in my opinion. I'll be back, Bob says. Joseph, greetings from Puerto Rico, not liberal, by the way. It wouldn't matter. You're invited here no matter what. Appreciate you being here. I wish we had a few liberals in here just so I could try to understand them, understand the mindset. I was there at one time, and I don't even remember what I was thinking. I don't think I was thinking. I think I was thinking about cars and women and me. Get to the, we're going to end it there, James. Get to the chopper. He says get to the chopper. No, Arnold said get to the chopper. He doesn't say it right. Yeah, Ink Scar says if we can agree to disagree. Weren't those the good old days when everything wasn't, when coffee wasn't politicized and ice cream and stuff like this? Conan the Barbarian, awesome as well. I forgot about that one. That's a great series. All right, folks. I'm going to jump off here. Tomorrow's hump day. I'll try and dress up a little fancy since it's hump day. I don't know why. But I appreciate y'all being here this morning. I got to refill the old cup here and go in, and hopefully the live chat is working. Sometimes it's there in 20 minutes. Sometimes it takes 6 hours. I have no idea why. Jola, good morning. And thank y'all for being here this morning. If you have any intel, inbox it to me. And again, with the scenarios and prepping items, feel free to inbox me, okay? I appreciate y'all being here.